What's up guys, it's Thunderstruck115, and today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the Black Ops Cold War Zombies reveal. So, last Wednesday, we got a reveal event for Cold War Zombies, and there was quite a bit to unpack there. Some good, some questionable. Overall, I think it was pretty good, but let's take a look at it. I know it's been a couple of days, but I wanted to give myself enough time to really look over and think through what we just saw, so I could give you a good video on it. Anyways, let's get into it. So, we have a brand new zombies map called Die Machine. At least I think that's how you pronounce it, maybe Die Machine. I'm gonna say Die Machine until I know exactly how I'm supposed to pronounce it. But anyways, Die Machine is sort of like an expanded version of Nocturne Totem. However, unlike the reimaginings that we had in Black Ops 4, it doesn't really seem like to be a reimagining of Nocturne Totem as much as Noct is part of the map. A map that is much bigger and more complex. So, it's supposed to take place in the early 80s, but it reaches back further into the past, probably tying into World at War somehow. Anyways, there's going to be a new group called Requiem, a CIA-backed international response team led by Grigory Reaver from Black Ops 1's campaign. And it's going to feature people like Woods, as well as Adler and Baker, which are supposedly new characters, but honestly, I'm really excited to play as Woods and zombies. I feel like it would be really fucking cool. Apparently, though, there's going to be a Soviet-led division that rivals Requiem called the Omega Group. Now, it's not immediately apparent whether the Omega Group is another cast of characters we can play as, or if it's just going to be characters in the story, but at this point we don't know. Anyways, there are plenty of characters that may aid or hinder your journey, while others have separate unknown agendas that will be up to the players to discover. There is one contact called Sam, and let me just say, it's pretty obvious, at least I think it's pretty obvious, that this is probably just a grown-up version of Samantha Maxis. I mean, this makes sense, because the story seems to be continuing after the events of Togder Totem, where Primus and Ultimus teamed up to collapse the multiverse and create a single universe that was free of zombies, the Apothecans, and Dr. Monty. Well, they did manage to make everything condensed into a single universe, but the zombies found their way through. Now, it's unknown whether or not Dr. Monty, the Shadow Man, or the Apothecans have made their way through the Dark Aether and into the universe, but it doesn't look like they would. So, this is, I guess, kind of a reboot of the Aether story, but really it seems to be more of its own thing that has a couple of ties to the Aether story. I know I said in my wishlist video that I wanted them to just let the Aether story rest, and it looks like they're kind of doing it, because our old cast of characters, Primus, Ultimus, Victus, they seem to be not present in this new story. So, as long as they don't rely too much on the old Aether story, I think I'll be fine with it, as this does seem pretty fresh in my opinion. Another cool thing is intel in this game. Basically, when you pick up a piece of intel, you can now listen to it in the menus, and thank goodness, finally, after 12 years, we can finally listen to radios and shit in the menu. Like, yeah, back in World at War and all the every game since then, we've had radios within the maps themselves, but oftentimes, unless you just save a zombie at the end of the round specifically to listen to them, you could often get interrupted by zombies and shit. So, yeah, it's really nice that they're giving the lore fanatics a nice little tool to get invested in the story, and I guess it could also help more casual fans get invested in the story as well. Apparently, though, you can also play as multiplayer operators, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. On one hand, it's nice that we have a choice of characters to play as, and it could add a lot of meaningful content to grind towards, as maybe you could say Now, I know I said it would be nice if they didn't rely on mainstays of the Aether story like the Ultimus or Primus crew, but it would be a nice little Easter egg if they were added as bonus characters, as long as they didn't significantly impact the story. But, at the same time, without a cast of characters to really get specifically attached to, that could end up hindering the story somewhat. Unless they make it so that there's a main story mode where you play as the Requiem team, and then a survival map style where you play as your multiplayer operators. Sort of like how in Black Ops 2 on Transit, you would play as the Victus crew, but then Town, Farm, and Bus Depot, you'd either play as the CIA or the CDC. If they did that, I think it could work well. But if they could replace the Requiem crew, leaves me a bit worried, but we'll have to see how it's implemented. Besides the story, there's now a cool new interesting mechanic. Or not really mechanic, but feature. Progression in Zombies is directly tied to that in multiplayer and Warzone. Sort of like how in Modern Warfare 2019, your progression between multiplayer, Warzone, and Spec Ops were all tied together. Now, this does mean that it might leave less content specific to Zombies to be unlocked, but it does mean, I do think it means that Zombies will get more content overall, so I think it's for the better. Additionally, we can now advance the Battle Pass with time played in Zombies. Thank you, Treyarch. Oh my god, I cannot begin to express how disappointed I was in Black Ops 4 when I could not level up the Battle Pass tiers in Zombies, but I could do so in multiplayer and Blackout. I'm really discouraged playing Zombies in that game, so I'm glad that they're not repeating their mistakes here. Anyways, this probably also means that more content for Zombies will be in the Battle Pass as well. There is another thing though, and that is Requiem team members can start the match with Gunsmith crafted weapon of choice via loadout support. And this is pretty vague. Does this mean that loadouts are going to be shared across multiplayer, Warzone, and Zombies, sort of like how Modern Warfare 2019 has it? Or is it just going to be it strips down some things in each loadout, but gives you the weapon? I'm a bit concerned there, because Zombies is way different from multiplayer. At least, Spec Ops, Warzone, and multiplayer were all different in Modern Warfare 2019, but they were similar enough that a unified loadout system could work in that game. In Zombies, I'm not entirely sure on this. And another thing, I'm not sure how starting the match with Gunsmith weapons will affect the balance. If I can spawn in with a souped-up assault rifle instead of a weak pistol like in previous games, that could fall into the Black Ops 4 pitfall of being too overpowered at the start. However, this could also play into the weapon rarity that's also going to be in the game. Also, another thing, the blog post says that Requiem team members can start the match with their Gunsmith crafted weapon of choice, but does that mean if we choose to use our multiplayer operators that it won't be? Or that there'll be different game modes, and that in the story mode, where you play as Requiem, you'll start with it, but if in a simpler survival style mode, you won't? It is a bit unclear, and I hope Treyarch comes out with more information in the next few weeks before launch, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, this time around, there's going to be weapon rarities. So, in addition to the return of the Pack-a-Punch machine, all weapons will have a rarity associated with them, and the higher the rarity, the greater the damage output and the attachments on the weapon. This will allow any weapon in the game to be sustainable into the later rounds and adds more variety to finding new weapons through wall buys in the mystery box. Now, there is one thing about this that I am not clear on. Does this mean that each distinct weapon has its own rarity, or that there are different rarities of weapons? What I'm trying to say is, is it say, the M16 is a common rarity weapon, whereas something like maybe the AK-47 is a legendary rarity weapon? Or is it like the M16 and the AK-47 have different levels of rarity? Like maybe you might find a common rarity M16 on the wall, but if you're lucky, you can find a legendary rarity M16 in the box, and that one's more sustainable. I think the second system would probably be better, where each weapon has different rarities that you can get for them. And then if you, coming back to what I was saying earlier about the balancing concerns with spawning with a gunsmith weapon, if they made it so that the weapon you spawn with is a common rarity weapon and is therefore the least effective version that you can get, this would incentivize using the mystery box to get new weapons. Also, this could solve a problem that Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 zombies had, where the wall weapons were so powerful that there was really no reason to hit the box, because the box just simply wouldn't give you weapons that were that much better than you could get on the wall, and with wall weapons you can buy ammo for them as many times as you want. I think this will incentivize players to hit the box more to get better guns while having more consistent but weaker weapons on the wall. And there's going to be field upgrades in zombies. Field upgrades in Modern Warfare were basically the replacement for the specialist stuff. They're quicker to charge, but they're not nearly as impactful, at least in multiplayer. In zombies, these will be like little proactive abilities. The way I'm reading it is probably something similar to the specialist abilities in World War II zombies, though they might not be as powerful, but if that's the case, I think this could be a really nice addition. Of course, this probably means that specialist weapons aren't going to return to Black Ops Cold War zombies, which could be a positive or negative depending on your opinions. But I think if they do it right, field upgrades could become a really interesting part of your loadout. Additionally, there's equipment. Around the map, you can find and craft lethal, tactical, and support equipment. Notice that it doesn't say spawn with it. And I am happy because I think Wraithfires were a really cool equipment in Black Ops 4, but it's something that you absolutely should not spawn with. But if they made it so you would find Wraithfires, or by doing some quest or having to craft them, then they would probably be much more well received, and it seems like that's what the Cold War Zombies equipment is doing. I remember in the trailer there was like this cool little ice grenade thing, and it was so fucking cool, and I want to be able to use this. Apparently, lethal and tactical equipment are similar to the equipment found in multiplayer, like frags, and support equipment is going to be high-powered offensive weaponry. This ties into another aspect of Cold War Zombies that I'm a little skeptical about, and that is score streaks in zombies. There's stuff like grenade launchers, sentry turrets, chopper gunners. Yeah, they put a fucking chopper gunner in zombies. It sounds like it could be batshit crazy overpowered, and while that might initially sound bad, Zombies is known for having some batshit crazy overpowered stuff, like the Thunder Gun, a lot of wonder weapons. Here's the crux though. If it is really overpowered, they need to make it so you have to earn it, and the effort that it takes to earn it should be proportional to the amount of power that these things have. Like, I'm fine with zombies having a chopper gunner that absolutely shreds through zombies, but it needs to be somewhat difficult and challenging to get in return. If Treyarch balances this right, I think they could be a really cool addition, but again, it is pretty easy for them to fuck it up, so I am going to remain a bit skeptical, but I'm also cautiously optimistic, is what I like to say. Perks. Yeah, apparently all the people bitching and moaning about Black Ops 4's perk system was more than enough to get Treyarch to return to a more classic-style perk system. Perks have their own dedicated machines and are on the map now. But, here's the thing. They improved it by making it so that there's no longer a perk limit. Thank you, Treyarch. Oh my god. It is so nice to not be restricted on my perks, because that was basically the main reason why I prefer Black Ops 4's perk system to the old one, because your perk slots in the old system were taken up by perks you absolutely needed, and therefore you couldn't really run perks that you want. But now that there's no perk limit, now that's no longer an issue, and I think this will work really well. Additionally, the designs of all the perk machines got an overhaul, and they all have this sort of 80s style look that's like super, like, what's the word, flamboyant or bright. They honestly look like a mix between the Infinite Warfare perk machines and the World War II Zombies perk machines, and they look so good. Particularly Deadshot and Speed Cola and the new Elemental Pop perk look so much cooler now. Like, seriously, just take a look at the old Deadshot machine and then take a look at the new one, and it's like, this is what puberty should be like. Holy crap, I just can't wait to try this stuff out. So yeah, perks got a cool new overhaul, and I'm happy now. Also, apparently you can upgrade your perks up to 4 times, so that'll be an interesting new dynamic. Also, there is now a new exfil mechanic. Now, you no longer have to end the game by dying or completing an Easter egg. If you want to, whenever you feel like doing an exfil, I suppose there's like some option that you have to go to or someplace on the map to call for it, and then you can escape with your life. But here's the crux. If you activate the exfil mechanic, the next couple of rounds are going to be extremely difficult. Zombie spawns will be dialed up to 11, and they'll be on crack, so this will be an interesting mechanic. From what I understand, it's going to be optional, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to. You can just survive to as many rounds as you feel like. But if you want to just maybe call it quits after round 25, just call in exfil, survive, and extract, and boom, game's over while you do not die. And there's going to be rewards for doing so. I'm not entirely sure what those rewards are, but I think they could be pretty cool. I think this also creates a little element of choice because, like, say maybe you want to try and extract as soon as possible. Well, if you activate it too early, then the increased zombie stats from the exfil are going to overwhelm you, but if you wait too long, then the zombie's health will probably be so high that exfil would probably be really difficult. So there's that to consider. Also, it seems like this is going to be separate from the main Easter eggs, which Treyarch said will be in the game. Finally, we have a few extra things that I noticed in the trailer. First of all, there seems to be this really cool new electric cannon thing. It looks like a blue jet gun, and it seems to be the new wonder weapon on this map. It kind of reminds me of the Moonraven Tesla gun from the Final Reich and World War II Zombies, except it looks and apparently performs even cooler. So yeah, I'm looking forward to using that. Additionally, the ray gun and the monkey bomb seem to return as well, so we'll be looking out for that as well. Additionally, we've seen some brand new zombie variants. There seem to be poison zombies, which look suspiciously like the poison catalysts from Black Ops 4 zombies. And there seems to be this weird new mutant dog thing. It's like if you take the Nova Crawler and the Hellhound, mix it together, and blam. I don't know how it's going to perform, but it looks interesting. Also, there's like a hazmat zombie. Looks like Treyarch is going to continue the trend of spicing up the gameplay with variants of special enemies, just like they did in Black Ops 4, which I personally think is a good thing, because I liked it there. Also, another thing, Zombies is going to have crossplay across every platform, and I am so happy about this. Xbox One, PS4, PC, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and PS5 will all be able to play together. Well, probably not at the same time because, well, as far as I know, Zombies is still going to be a 4-player co-op experience unless they add that grief mode, which I honestly hope they do. Also, Treyarch did tease what I think is going to be Dead Ops Arcade 3. So, that was also that to look forward to. I'm not really the biggest Dead Ops fan. I mean, I play it every now and then. I have fun. Not really too substantial for me, but I know a lot of people who like it, and I'd rather have it than not. We haven't heard about any alternate game modes, though, so there's that to think about. I really wish they would bring back Grief Mode from Black Ops 2 and Rush Mode from Black Ops 4, because I thought those were really fun, but I don't know, maybe they just can't really get them in right away. Also, as far as I know, if we're not counting the new Dead Ops, DM Machine seems to be the only map available at launch, which I guess is kind of excusable considering that Treyarch had one less year to develop zombies than they had initially planned. But still, it would have been nice if maybe we got a second map that maybe was simpler for new players to understand. Of course, if we get like a game mode like survival mode compared to transit mode, like sort of like Black Ops 2 was, yeah, I think it could work just as well. However, I'm willing to excuse that because all post-launch DLC for zombies will be free. This means no longer will people be gated by a season's pass, and everybody will be able to play every map if they have the game. So yeah, overall, I'd say Black Ops Cold War Zombies is looking to be really great, and I honestly think this could be a really big year for zombies. Perhaps just as big, if not bigger, than Black Ops 3 was. And I'm excited. After seeing the Zombies trailer, I had decided to go ahead and pre-order my copy of Black Ops Cold War for the Xbox Series X, because damn, this looks so fun to play, and I can't wait to play it on November 13th. Anyways, that's about it for this video. If you enjoy, hit the like button and subscribe for more, and tell me what you think of Black Ops Cold War Zombies. That's it. Peace!